different allergies, etc., or be born with certain immunocompromised conditions. So these persons may also be susceptible. There are various factors that affect how severe a person will present with the clinical symptoms when they are exposed to COVID or to the COVID virus, such as the dose. How much virus have you been exposed to? This has several studies now have been published that show if you are exposed to a smaller dose of the virus, the chances of you getting a more severe infection is less. So this is why even wearing a mask is important. The social distancing is important because the smaller the amount of virus that you're exposed to that enters into your body, the greater the chances that you will have a less severe infection. So there are several studies that show this. And again, each person responds differently. Some persons may there are various factors that have been shown to help to support the immune system and help to fight the infection, such as vitamin D3, zinc, vitamin C, some of these supplements. And some persons from onset, I won't say that this is, you can't take my word 100, my word for this, but there are several persons who have actively engaged in taking preventative measures, and persons that are taking these steps would naturally fare better than other persons who are not.
You said something just now. You said vitamin D3.
Yes.
That is specific. We understand that sunlight is good vitamin D, but is there a distinction to be made between vitamin D, as in sunlight, and D3?
Well, when we are exposed to sunlight, what the sun actually does is convert the inactive form of the vitamin D that we have into the active form. So although we are exposed to sunlight, there are, for instance, persons in colder countries or in more temperate climates that have less penetration of the sunlight. They may have a lower concentration of vitamin D. You will find them to be more deficient in vitamin D. Also, the darker your skin is, the less the penetration of the waves. So you may think that, because even I myself, I was in Switzerland for some time, and I had to go to the doctor, and they came and they were giving me vitamin D, and I said, what you giving me vitamin D for? I'm Jamaican, I'm black, I come from a tropical country, I don't need no vitamin D. And you know, the doctor, they said, no, it don't work like that, you know.
Yes.
They tested my levels, and my levels were low because I had been over there for some time.
Okay.
One final question, because we have to wrap up now. The vaccine threshold that we seek, the consummate spread across the world that we seek, that, as is the contention of some of us, would be better able to defeat the virus. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure I quite understand the question. That some of us would be better able naturally to defeat the virus versus
rather than
the vaccine?
No, there's the contention that rather than the prudent stockpiling of the vaccines, right, in different countries, in certain big countries, a more consummate spread across the world in terms of vaccine availability, expanded access would be better for us all in defeating the virus.
Well, that's certainly true, and I think that is what they're trying to do. But if we look at the map of the distribution currently, we will see that the distribution is uneven presently. Looking at the map here, like some of the African countries, even rich countries, even such as Australia, they have not accessed as much as the European countries, Russia, China, US, and Canada. And but I think as the vaccine is being rolled out, that it will get to all of the countries. That's the aim, that's a goal, that's a pathway that has been carved out, and that is the intention of the World Health Organization to ensure that the those in need and that we have equitable distribution of the vaccine.
All right.
Okay.
The concern is really how fast can we get it there, and I think they're working as quickly as possible.
All right, Dr. Sandra Jackson, we thank you very much for sharing your time with us. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
This cannot go unnoticed. So far, we have been addressing things that ought not to go unnoticed,
Unnoticed,
right?
right.
Like the Prime Minister's remarks to Bloomberg News on the supply, the
vaccine.
the supply of the vaccines. All right. This topic, as I said before, must not go unnoticed. The boiling pot, that's the ongoing leadership contention of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association. This is not ping pong. Not with the array of smashes being delivered by competing parties. Journalist Garfield Jones, who has been tracking the story throughout, now sets the stage of this point and counterpoint match leading up to an upcoming AGM. Garfield, welcome.
Pleasure to be with you, gentlemen.
Stratan, sir, you must go to the table and serve. So please, sir, serve.
Garfield, you have been following this for some time. I don't know if you can unravel it, if you can go through the various avenues that were created. But where are we now in this impasse?
In table tennis, there's a thing called let's serve.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's where we're at. Because there have been so many twists and turns. It's like going through Fern Gully. But we're still en route. Don't know where it will end, but we're still en route. In my opinion, gentlemen, it comes down to ego. That three-letter word that is such a big word.
Garfield,
we need
Yeah.
to hear loud and clear.
we need to
Get
hear you a
closer
little
to
louder.
the phone.
Yeah, get closer to the phone.
All right, can you hear me
Good.
now?
Yes,
Excellent.
yes, excellent.
All right, I had on speaker, but this is better.
Yeah.
Right. So I was saying, in my opinion, it comes down to ego. Ego on the part of the quote unquote, and I want to say it carefully, the president. Because based on court proceedings, I'm wondering if there actually is a president. So Mr. Lucian is saying one thing, and there's a group called Friends of Table Tennis that is saying another thing. The latest news, as far as this is concerned, is that there was supposed to be a decision on a list, a members list, to go ahead to the general meeting. The list was agreed on in most part until there was a change of heart on Mr. Lothian's part about one particular membership, and that was the JDF. And that kind of threw things in tailspin again. So they're back at square one. The latest there's so many latest, is two special general meetings have been called. One by Godfrey Lothian and his team, and another by Andrew Lothian's team. And Andrew Lothian
Andrew
saying that
Lou.
they are Andrew Lou
Yeah.
is saying that they are the rightful one to be called in the special general meeting because their GenSec is the one that is acknowledged by the courts.
So let me
So,
so let me try to make head and tail of this thing. The crux of the matter is the voters list.
right.
That's where it
That
all
is
started.
what it boils down to. When my first interview with them, there was a voters list of over 100 and odd persons on it, which was okay by Mr. Lothian.
And this is
Then-
after Mr. Lothian was challenged. That's where it all started.
Right.
Some people.
But when Mr. Lou and his team checked, at least 100 of those were not paid up members or not even clubs. They were just on the list. So they agreed to clean up the list. The list came down to about 40 or 45.
Yes.
And it is still a problem.
So in layman's terms, you call it a whole pile of ballot stuffing was going on.
Well,
Well, no, more than that. It's more essential to our major politics, where you have what is branches and what the other party have.
yes, man.
Yes.
The creation of these.
The question of groups and branches.
Groups and branches.
and there has been accusations of curry favor, so that's why some people are on it. So a club will get a table tennis board and automatically you're expected to vote for me.
Scarce benefits and spoils.
Yes.
Yes. So a lot of that accusation has been going around. It doesn't look good for the sport, gentlemen, as it is. No one can say, let us meet at the table and find an amicable way to resolve this. And it is just ongoing for far too long.
More court cases on the horizon.
It is going to come down to that because if both parties have a special general meeting, what can come out of that?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
But is there no respect for the Supreme Court's ruling?
If you were to
Who's in
follow
charge? Firstly, what is the name of the association?
There have been about 3 name changes. There's the Jamaica Table Tennis Association, there's Table Tennis Jamaica. We don't know what to call them. I just call them table tennis because it is such a dirty case that it is not funny.
And how long has this been going on?
Over a year, possibly 2 years.
What has been the effect on the game, on the local game? Where are we going as a result of this?
If you follow West Indies cricket, there's a term that is continuously used, that we're going around the corner. Table tennis has followed suit.
Yeah.
They're going around a corner, and their corner is a roundabout.
Yes.
They keep going around in circles. It has left the game in a bad way, in my opinion. One of the top players in the island is a very good friend of mine, Simon Tomlinson. And if you follow Simon on Facebook and Instagram, Simon has turned to vlogging to pass time. Because no table tennis is being played because of this ding-dong battle going on. And I've interviewed Simon and Kane, and both of them, they are disheartened by what is taking place. They're
So
good sports that they love.
it's not the COVID taking its toll.
Oh, not at all. It is the ping-ponging between
Yes.
both parties
Yes.
that is taking a toll on the sport.
Looking at the situation as it is now, the Supreme Court had ruled. Have those rulings been adhered to?
Not at all. Not at all. Because if that was the case, then Mr. Lothian would not be considered the president. And I think that's where the problem is. Because Friends of Table Tennis, the other side, the opponents of Mr. Lothian, they have not acknowledged, they don't even acknowledge him as the president.
But
But Lord, so the groups, sorry Stratton,
No, man,
so
go
the
ahead.
groups are not meeting. There's a camp over here and a camp over
And
there.
a camp over there.
But there are mediation though. What happened to that?
It didn't work out.
Where Anthony Davis was the man in the middle.
And you notice Anthony Davis has stepped away from the mediation process. it can be mediated. There can be no mediation because I think respect has broken down on both sides. Um, one side don't respect the other, and it is never ending as far as I see. But you gentlemen pointed to something just now. The court of the land made a ruling, and that is not being adhered to.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people keep ignoring that. The
Well,
court ruled that the election was null and void. So how come we have a president and a board acting on behalf of table tennis when the court said nothing like that?
but thanks for taking us through the quagmire. I
Yes.
don't know if it will lead us to any safer ground, but let's see if, when we speak to Mr. Lieutenant, Mr. Lou
Yes.
in the ensuing segment.
Right?
Garfield, very well done. Thank you ever so much.
Not a problem. Anytime, Uncle Seth.
Good,
Good.
good.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Sir Myrie.
Thank you, Sir
Take
Garfield.
it easy.
Good. All right. We have just been told we had a spirited session with Garfield Jones, who set the stage between all the politicking right? Of the two contending parties, right? Here is Godfrey Lothian. Shatan, he says he's not the embattled president. Mr. Lothian, please come to the table and serve.
Yes, yeah. This one is I am sharp,
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
it's 90 degrees turning, you know.
Oh,
All right.
So you're putting some spin on the ball.
You put-
Yeah, man.
All right,
Top spin.
Top spin.
all right. What's your game?
What's happening in
Well-
10 minutes? Yes.
Huh?
What's happening in
What's
10?
happening? Yes, you
Well,
tell us your story.
this weekend we'll be having a special general meeting to look at the voters list that has not yet been concluded, and two, to have a confident vote in my presidency and my administration. We also learned that there will be another special general meeting at the National Arena, but I am associated with the one that will be held at Caribbean Palms. That is 88 to 100 Spanish Town Road.
So how are we going to have one association with two special general meetings?
Well, to my understanding, is that some members has called for a special general meeting, and another set of members has called for a general meeting. The one that I am associated with, they have written to the office of the General Secretary, attention Miss Pantina Price, and that is the one I am associated. That's the one was communicated to me in terms of organizing, in terms of planning, and that is the one that I will be attending.
But there's another meeting, and the person who they said is the person who should be doing that is Mrs. Myrie Burton Q. Is that correct?
Well, Miss Anne-Marie Burton Clue, and I don't want to dwell in that discussion in terms of their right to be planning a special general meeting. That's their right. But we, as members of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association, and as the standing president, we have our rights too.
What
and
did
our
the
right.
what did the
Our,
Supreme Court rule?
the Supreme Court ruled against Table Tennis Jamaica, not Jamaica Table Tennis Association.
And what was the contention of Table Tennis Jamaica? And what was the contention of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association?
They ruled that the constitutional meeting of the 28th of January was null and void.
Which
And
year? Which year,
the
please?
election of the 9th of
Which year,
February
please?
2019
Yes.
was null and void. We did not contest the court in terms of when we went to court, it was late because there's a certain timeline that you have to send in your necessary papers and so on. That was not done.
That was not done by your party.
Yes, but my team, yes.
So after the Supreme Court of the land ruled,
Yes.
what happened? Yeah, break it down nice and easy for us, no? Is the ruling being followed and adhered to? And who is not following the rule?
Well, in terms of if the rules is adhered to and not following the rule, as I have pointed out before, that it revert back to Jamaica Table Tennis Association because the Jamaica Table Tennis Association was not taken to court. And secondly, when we look at the legality in terms of what was taken to court, the Table Tennis Jamaica was not a registered entity, and it shouldn't have been taken to court.
Okay.
But put that as it may. We went to mediation.
This is after the Supreme Court ruling.
Yes,
Both parties went to mediation.
yes.
And this had the blessing of the Supreme Court.
Well, the Supreme Court did not, in terms of saying that you should do X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
The Supreme Court, as I said before, they put in a number of things against me and against Table Tennis Jamaica, and we did not contest. And when you do not contest a case, then things revert to the other party.
So if you didn't contest it, why are you not abiding by it?
Who said I am not abiding by it?
I'm asking.
Are you?
Are you?
No. I said we went to mediation. And the mediation, we were at a point.
No, but why the need to go to mediation if you were in compliance with the Supreme Court? It means that you were not complying with the rulings of the court then. You did not contest, nor were you complying.
Why?
I'm trying to understand it. I don't understand.
I don't understand. I don't understand your question.
All right. In other words, the Supreme Court makes a ruling. You did not contest. What was the reason for going to mediation? What happened?
The going to mediation was to find a common ground. So you can the association could be in good stead, and all parties could feel a relief and move on with the business of the organization.
Let me put it this way. The Supreme Court would have asked for certain things. Did both parties look at that and agree to certain things, and therefore what they didn't agree to, they were now taken to mediation?
Mediation? Yeah, that's what we're asking.
Yeah.
I am saying that we did agree to mediation.
Both parties.
Both parties.
So whatever Supreme Court said, it now reached a situation that you go to mediation.
And what happened since mediation? Because we will have to wrap this conversation up in a while. What happened?
Yes, and I am saying that the mediation, we reach a point with the mediation where some party at clubs we agree to. the mediation breakdown at the final level, because we think that there are some clubs that were taken off that should not be taken off the list. They have written to me, and we intend to. We are working to get those clubs back on the list.
But how?
There's where it is now.
But how are the clubs going to be back on the list when you're having two special meetings? So me not coming to your meeting and you not coming to my meeting. So how do we get these clubs back on the list?
Well, we have to see after Saturday. I won't say things that I am. You know, my legal team is looking into all these issues, and there are certain things that I will not divulge at this point in time.
That's
and therefore, we await our meeting on Saturday, and then after that, we will make our position clear.
And we can talk to you guys again next week, Thursday.
Anytime, man. You shut up, no say, and Curtis. You know that I am not afraid to talk to the meeting.
All right, because I await these.
Anytime.
I await. Certainly, we await the outcome of these meetings.
But in the meantime, table tennis suffer, you're not getting the subvention for run the thing. Because you
Yes, we have not getting subvention from September 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing. All right.
Let's see how it turns out, no?
Right, and we trust that you will get together very quickly. Yeah.
We will.
Okay. All right.
Godfrey, good.
Listen, keep subscribing to the. Oh, good, Sir Godfrey. Thank you.
Yeah, respect.
Good. Keep subscribing to the program. Keep contributing to the app that is on the screen. The Cash app that is on the screen. Good. Back in a moment. Don't you go anywhere. We're coming to talk to Mr. Angelo.
And stand by. Clive Lloyd coming up in a matter.
Oh, yes. And then there's Clive Lloyd, and then there's Clyde McKenzie, and then the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't go anywhere.
All right, welcome Angelo to this. He's a presidential contender, has been through the ropes through the court, Supreme Court mediation, and now we're having two special general meetings. Both on Saturday, Andrew, or one Saturday, one Sunday?
Both at the same time.
Both at the same time.
Same day.
Was that a matter of coincidence or a plan?
I don't think it's coincidence at all.
Yeah. Tell us, how did you reach this stage?
Yes. Who not talk to who for club that they on who for list, all them sort of thing. I'm dizzy, you know, from all the top spin. So talk to me, Andrew.
Well, we have been trying to sort out this affiliate list from June, you know.
2019.
Well, it goes back to 2019 when the AGM was called and then declared null and void by the Supreme Court. One of the things that we took, well, my predecessor, Mrs. Karen Sinclair Lim, took the Lothian administration to court. The court was for the proliferation of clubs because it jumped from 52 to 105 in a matter of less than a week.
Yes.
So my contention was that those clubs are not duly constituted.
Is there a procedure? What is the procedure?
The procedure is that the potential affiliate should apply on a form to the General Secretary of the JTTA. The JTTA will then take it to the Executive Council where they will look at the qualifications, and the Constitution clearly states that an affiliate has to be a club or a parish association.
So let me ask you something. Some of those clubs were just makeshift, pulled from a hat.
Clubs in name.
Clubs in
Not-
name. Never hold a
Right.
table tennis racket yet.
Right.
All right. After the Supreme Court, was there anything that both parties had to adhere to, and if not,
The Supreme,
yes,
the court are instructed to go back and have another election, right?
right. Okay, that is
Rather
much
than-
clearer now.
Yes, that is
Right.
much clearer.
Rather than do that, the incumbent administration reverted. Well, one of the things the court did was declare table tennis Jamaica null and void. So they reverted to the JTTA, right, prior to the 2019 AGM.
So that
And-
means that the people who were in charge are now in charge again,
At that time, yes.
and that will be Godfrey
the-
Lothian.
But that would be the Lothian administration. But
Yeah.
the thing is, a number of council members had resigned, so there was no quorum because both vice presidents had resigned, and the treasurer
Anyhow,
had
the
resigned.
elections were declared null
Null
and
and
void, right?
Yes.
Which paved the way now for fresh elections.
Exactly.
Why such elections have not been held to date? What is the problem?
Because of the affiliates list. But we knew that we don't have 105 clubs in Jamaica. We don't have 105 affiliates.
But it was reduced to 40 at one point in time, more recently.
So we went to the GOA. The GOA sent us to the DRF. The DRF told both parties to go and look at the list. And when you're finished and you agree on a list, then you go and have your elections or you come back to us.
Why both of you have not yet agreed on a list? What's the snag?
So we met face to face.
Yes.
We discussed the affiliates, chaired by Mr. Anthony Davis, esteemed gentleman, I can tell you. He did an excellent job. And we brought it down to 45, right? We said, okay, at our last face-to-face meeting, we said, this is the 45 that we're going to sign off on. We're just going to put them on paper and set a date next week to meet, that's to sign off. Lo and behold, I keep asking, okay, I have the list ready. Can we sign off on it now? Then that's when he said he had a problem with JDF, right? Now, JDF is a long-standing affiliate. They have won National League title. They have
And all along there was no problem with the JDF.
All along there was no problem because what his contention is that the person who paid the affiliate fee was not authorized by the JDF to do so. But the history is that the team members would just pay out of pocket because it's just $2,000, eh? So they would just pay and play. But no, it's because.
So you're telling me that $2,000 is at the center of this rift?
At the
Well,
present
no.
time, yes.
No, just for that affiliate.
Yeah, but,
anyway.
But you
it
agreed on a
seems
list
that
of
JDF
45,
is the,
and then-
it seems as if the whole issue is the JDF, the ratification of JDF as an affiliate. No?
Yes, well.
Is that the
he
only
wants-
problem? Is that the only problem?
No, apparently not. I thought it was because after a few weeks, I realized it wasn't going anywhere. I spoke. We met and we realized that okay, we leave off the JDF. Can we go forward now, right? So I agreed to leave off the JDF, and I advised the JDF what was happening, and they agreed to say, all right, when after all of this is over, we'll regularize our payment and everything. So I said, okay, I'll agree to leaving off the JDF. Let's sign off on the other 44. Only to hear now that he wants to add back 2 affiliates which are already disqualified. Which those 2 affiliates is the Table Tennis Umpires and Referees Association which is neither a club or a parish association, as the Constitution dictates.
Some sporting organization recognize affiliates, not so with table tennis.
Yes, but to be an affiliate, you have to qualify. And to be an affiliate of the JTT, the Constitution clearly states that you must be a club, a table tennis club, or a parish association representing a group of clubs in a parish.
So those are ruled out.
Okay, so those are ruled out. So why is it that Mr. Lothian wants to bring them back now? Is that why Mr. Davis, the esteemed gentleman, said he was no longer the mediator? What happened?
So because the chairman stuck by the Constitution and found no valid reason to readmit those two, Mr. Lothian attacked the integrity of the chairman. And the chairman, being the gentleman he is, take for himself.
Yes, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Tell me something, Andrew. Have you done your canvassing?
Yes, man.
Then why don't just agree and go with the 44 then? Because I don't like you
Then
feel you're going to win.
that's what I did. What I did. So I said, we are going with the 44. We're not adding back those two. But he
because his canvassing says that with those two, he regains ground and has an edge to win. Is that it?
Right. So
so that means the competition is quite close then, you know.
And don't ask that you
no, but we don't know where it's going to end after those two. Which others are going to come with again after that?
So you guys are going back to court again?
No, man. So what we did was we said that the DRF did not say that we have to sign off on the list. The DRF said go and ratify the list, which we did. So we call it SGM with those 44. And we're going to use those 44 as our basis to have the election.
So why not just have one meeting then? Sat down and get it over.
And get it over with. Why two meetings?
Well, we requested our SGM to the legitimate general secretary, and she decided to have the meeting on such a date, and then he came now with his meeting.
Since hold on, let's see if we can put a cap on this.
Take it home, yes.
Since me and Shati are very, very small brains and can manage a lot of the heavy lifting, what I am seeing is that since you are going to have two meetings on Saturday at the same time, after the two meetings, the issue still won't be resolved, and we're going to have to go to court again.
Well, what is going to happen is that our meeting is the called by the legally constituted general secretary. Right.
So what you said, Mr. Lothian manufacturer Gensec?
Yeah, so his meeting might be declared null and void then.
Exactly. That's what is going to happen.
Oh boy.
He has no authority to move on. He doesn't have a quorum.
It's going back to court.
Yeah.
It's going back to court. Keep us posted,
Andrew,
please.
Thanks. Yeah, and
all right.
We have some clarity on the matter now. All right, thanks, Andrew.
All right.
Good.
Okay, then.
Good. Again, keep subscribing and keep contributing to the Cash App. Back in a moment. All right. Yes, it's an evening, Stratton, where certain things will not go unnoticed. We're keeping that same theme, right? The family feud between the football father and son team of Craig and Kyle Butler, now in the courts, continues to receive primetime news highlight. We are not and have never been interested in sensationalism. It's not who we are. Sent to mediation and with our focus at the center circle of how the family may be healed, we have invited clinical psychologist Sonia Winter of Tea House Therapy to discuss how they may again take the field together. Welcome, Sonia Winter.
Thank you so much, Curtis.
Here is my associate Stratton Palmer, who would like.
Hi, Strata.
Yes, he has been threatening to engage you first. He says where the ladies are concerned, he's first. So, yes.
Tell me, you are aware of the case and what it does to families. How would you approach any effort to try to bring the parties together?
Okay. Well, I often say that, in most families, there's always are built on goodwill. First of all, that in almost all families, there is a fundamental care and fondness and appreciation and so on for the members of the family. That's usually a starting point. And unfortunately, life throws different things at you, and as a result, these relationships get ruptured, and they can be ruptured in really dreadful ways and create a lot of hurt for all the members involved.
Because they're natural stages of struggle, right?
Indeed,
Right.
indeed, and as I said, life is life throws us different things, and oftentimes how we cope and respond to them ends up doing a lot of damage to our connections with other people, including those closest to us, our loved ones. And it sounds like this is no different. In my practice, most often, what I try to do is have a conversation between the hurt parties that is more constructive. Usually, without guidance, conversations go really badly because emotions get so high that people are now lashing out at each other in a conversation which could otherwise be a building and constructive conversation.
Tell me, what is the frequency of these kind of relational problems, father, son, mother, daughter, or even cross-fertilizing? Is
Well,
it
that's
something
a
that's
very...
frequent?
Say that again?
Is it something that is prevalent in the society?
Oh, absolutely, of course. I mean, but from the beginning of time, if you think about our generation and how we interacted with, we were a very different generation from our parents. Our parents were schooled, for example, and brought up and nurtured in a very thick colonial heritage. And those of us who came after in the 60s, 70s, and 80s were born to something very different, and so our perspective is different, and these kinds of differences are fertile ground for these kinds of controversies. How we understand
Values keep
exactly.
Values keep evolving, and social dynamics keep evolving. That's part of the melting pot of the differences too. Yes.
For sure. And then also our perspective on who we are as individuals, you know what I mean, changes. How we see ourselves and our roles. I mean, I think every generation of parents have certain expectation in terms of the role and how the role of a parent, a role of a child, and how those interactions should look. And then the child comes up and they don't necessarily subscribe to that, eh? You know what I mean? And thus begins a very tumultuous road.
Is it a situation that you're looking for change in one or either of the party, or a meeting point of common understanding?
The latter. A constructive conversation is about two people sharing their perspective and one listening to the other. Most often conversations go awry because both people are trying to communicate their point of view and neither can be heard at the same time.
How do you make them listen?
I'm sorry?
How do you make them listen to each other?
Great. I'm glad you asked. I force them into very specific roles, at least while they're sitting in front of me. And they have labels. For the next 10 minutes, you, father, are the speaker, and you, son, are the listener. Son, the only thing you're going to do right now is ask questions, write down your understanding of the answer. Your job is nothing else for the next 10 minutes. You are not to be formulating your answers. You are not to be cultivating a defense. You're trying to put yourself in the shoe of the other person. Listen to what he means. Listen to what he's saying.
You know,
right?
That is the stage
it's a
where
very constraining conversation.
Yes, that is where you're supposed to be experiencing a lot of difficulties because
it's very constraining,
no one wants to be in the shoe of the next person.
Well, they do, you know, but they don't quite know how,
okay,
you know. And with me there, I consider myself a coach and a restraining agent, you know. So I'm often jumping in and say, wait, it's too early. Your 10 minutes have not come yet. Your 10 minutes will come when you get to express yourself. But here's the most powerful part of it, Stratton, is that after the speaker speaks, right, and the listener has taken notes, the listener now has to reflect what he has heard. He or she has heard, what his understanding of what has been said is. And that's where we clear up a whole lot of misunderstanding.
Clarity takes place, yes.
Right? So the listener will then say, okay, if I am understanding you, what I'm hearing you say is X, Y, and Z. And the speaker gets to say, yes, but not quite. No, let me just clarify this part. And the speaker clarifies again, and we take it again from the top. Okay, listener, so what did you hear? And we go this back and forth with the speaker clarifying and the listener reflecting, and we don't stop. Hopefully we can finish that in 10 minutes. Usually we do. We don't stop until the speaker says exactly what I'm trying to say. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Only then do we change roles.
You clearly have more than one of these sessions.
Oh, yes.
Because
I have it between parents and children, but most often I have it between partners.
But I'm saying is the actual number of sessions. You clearly have a number of these sessions because what is critical to this process is trust and the rebuilding of trust, which takes some time. No.
Well, I think what this process does is a new way of having a conflict. Okay, so it's creating habits first of all. Trust will only come after each person feels seen and heard and not judged. And that's where I try to coach them.
Take us to
Does
school,
that make sense?
Sandra.
Because usually what happens in most often conversations is that I say X, Y, and Z, and the person says attacks back with W, Q, X, Y, and Z, and attacks, so which means they've conveyed judgment, they have retaliated, they haven't really taken in and understood what has been said by the speaker.
Go ahead, sir.
You want to follow up?
I just wanted to say this. Doesn't it become harder when there are certain rules that are almost retained? Meaning, yes, you could attack from now till a man, and he's always the victim. So, you know, I'm not sure how much I'll be engaged.
That's a good point. Here's what I do. So the listener, first of all, we have roles, as I said. We have a listener and a speaker. Both have very clear roles, okay? As I outlined earlier, the role of the listener is just to record what they have heard and understood the other person's position to be. That's it, without reference to themselves, the listener, okay? That's the job of the listener. The listener can ask questions for clarification, but nothing else.
And you break it down to the ground floor.
Right. The speaker now, their job is to describe their experience in terms of what they were feeling, thinking, and understanding. Nothing else. And I forbid them from criticizing the listener, from blaming the listener, from labeling the listener. So those are the rules for the speaker. So the speaker is allowed to say, okay, I became extremely angry when you came home at 4 o'clock in the morning, inebriated, and you broke the windshield of my car. That made me angry, frustrated, disappointed in you. Okay? I am still angry about it. It's still affecting how I go about interacting with you and so on and so forth. Right? So that's how I force the speaker to relay what has happened. Usually, if I'm not there, usually what happens is you are a worthless, no good, so and so and so and so, you're inconsiderate, and so the labeling of the other person is usually what happens. And so the listener can't sit down and take that. The listener is immediately defensive and attacks. If that is the way the speaker puts the facts on the table.
I'm going to push, yes, Sonia. It may not even be as gentle as we want it to be. I'm going to push. I'm sure you have had scenarios where we are agreeing to come to Miss Winter to talk. We are agreeing to this process of mediation, right? We are agreeing to trying to find how we may re-engage. But deep down, we know that we don't really want to go on not another minute with this person. So
no, that never happened.
It has never happened?
Let me stop you right there.
It has never happened.
Anybody that's going to come and sit in front of me and pay me money,
yes,
it's because they are no longer happy with the situation as it is.
And they want to make it better, or they want to break free?
Yes.
Or do they want to break free?
They want a change. They want a change.
Okay.
This relationship is very painful and unpleasant to me, and I'm investing the time and the money to be in this relationship or not in a different way. But right now, it's not working. Does that make sense? So in a way, I do get. In a way, people kind of self-select when they come to me, and that makes my job easier. The minute that you go and take time out of your busy day to come and spend an hour to sit in front of me and pay me money, then clearly you have an objective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No. The situations may obtain sometime that one of the parties would be a control freak. Do you change that? Because you have to change the person, would you not?
No. I mean, in some cases, maybe you can. It depends on a lot depends on what the objective is, you know. Is that Stratton speaking? A lot depends on the objective of each person, you know. It could be one is a control freak, so it means that if you don't do as I say, then I get angry. Okay?
Yes.
But in this conversation, I'm forcing the speaker to break it down. You know, they're not going to get away with if you don't do what I say, then I get angry. They're going to have to say more than that. When you don't do what I say, I feel a loss of control. I feel like you're going to endanger yourself. I feel like you're going to endanger me, my assets, my reality, whatever. The speaker has to expound. You know what I'm saying? So that their experience, their perspective on what's happening can be aired, and the other person can hear it. The other person's position might be completely different, you know. But the speaker has their story.
Yes, and you're careful.
You know, the speaker has a story.
And each person as speaker has his story or her story.
Say that again?
And each person in the role as speaker will have their respective story.
Exactly.
Yes.
They have their story that was taking place long before the particular event that we're discussing. And that story is now relevant to why I handled the event or felt about the event or interpreted the event the way that I did.
Sonia,
I'm going to explain that to you, just so that you can at least have some what's the word I want to use? Some perspective, some understanding of where I'm coming from. You may still disagree, but you can see how I went from step A to step B to step C and ended up at D.
Sounds as if you would chase us out of your office.
No.
Well, I'm not seeing evidence of that yet.
Yes,
Give me another. Hit me with another question.
All right.
Do you ever get frustrated yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where it was
Yes.
going. Yes.
Yes. I get frustrated when there are two people in my office, but one has come under duress and is not interested, as you just said.
Yeah, remember I asked you that question before now. Coming to the table, yes, I have accepted that this is the process. I still pay my money, but I don't make up my mind.
No. That's where we differ now.
Yeah.
Usually the person who is there under duress ain't paying no money.
Okay, well, even if I don't pay my money,
they're there because I've been told to come, so I'm going to come and I'm going to walk.
And I don't make up my mind long time. What about that scenario?
Make up my mind about what, though? That's the point.
Make up my mind that I don't want to re-engage.
I don't want to what?
I don't want to re-engage. I don't want to go no further with this relationship.
Right. In which case, there's no point in them coming. If they the meeting is about re-engaging. Okay. So if they don't really want to re-engage and that becomes obvious, then I explain to them that I really cannot help them. We can only have a conversation if both people want to engage.
So, Winter, we could have you all day. And on a very serious note, as we said before, it's not about sensationalizing. We do hope and trust that this particular segment will really seriously help the Butlers, all of those of us with some sort of feud, because siblings will, families will erupt from time to time.
Just want to ask her finally, Sonia, since the pandemic, have you seen an increase in cases?
I've seen it. Well, I deal mostly with couples. So, yes, I've seen a significant increase in distress in couples' relationship. Unfortunately, I've seen a significant increase in domestic abuse as well.
And violence too, because that has been happening. Yes.
Yes, because especially in the case of couples, because, couples are, victims are now at home and constrained with their abusive partners, because also there's a lot of frustration and uncertainty and so on, and that creates stress that people don't deal with well and
lots
take out on each other.
Lots of jobs, lots of incomes too. Everything that can possibly implode may eventually implode.
Yes, and places stress on family relationships generally,
But again,
that were already weak to begin with.
Well, again, I say, thanks to you. You have been a compass, a guiding hand. Yeah.
Before you go, I would love to just make a plug for therapy, as you just said, for couples that are in distress, because I do have a great deal of success with those that come.
Wow.
They're able to see the other person from a point of view of understanding the other person. And that can be a very rewarding experience for somebody that you care. If it's somebody that you care about deep down inside and you just can't get the relationship to work. So I do want to make a plug for people to give it a shot, because therapy, I do know, has a stigma, but it has so many wonderful benefits as well.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time. And we hope the Butlers really, sincerely give it a shot, because, hey, sports, football, the family unit benefits from all this. Thank you so much, Sonia. Good, thank you.
My pleasure.
Good. We'll be back right after this. Good. Back with Real Chat, and we want to thank Carla Stewart for tuning in and commenting, right?
Yes.
And we must say, please do send your queries and your questions and your comments, WhatsApp text to the number 876-787-5873. All of your views will be aired.
And if you
right?
have questions, we get answers for you.
And we'll get answers for you. Or leave your comments below. Or leave your comments below.
Alrighty.
In 1966, at age 22, he made his debut for the West Indies against India, but was only told he was playing the match less than an hour before the start as a result of a finger injury to Seymour Nurse. You, sir?
Yes, he scored at 82 and 78 not out, as Jackie Hendricks would remind us.
Yes.
And that 66 score to India. Oh, and he visited to take the series lead and the three-match series 2-0, finishing among the top 5 run makers. Sir Clive Lloyd, one of the game's most successful batsmen and captain, has written an open letter to the inexperienced team in Bangladesh, encouraging the players to believe in themselves and to use his experience as motivation.
Welcome, Sir Clive Lloyd. How are you?
Cheers.
Good.
Not too bad at all.
Good. And thanks for being back again on Real Chat, right? Let me trouble you. Less than an hour before the match, right? You're frightened when them call you?
No, the point is I was practicing, helping one of the other guys, and then just there's half an hour actually before.
Yes.
And then Garfield Sobers told me, he said, Clive, you're in. Well, I was quite taken aback because I was like a backup player sort of thing.
Right.
I wasn't down to play because they were well established, and so I thought he was, sort of pulling my leg.
Yes.
But the point is that I didn't have any time to get nervous because we were out fielding, so I didn't have any butterflies of such. So I think that helped me to get involved in this, because I was now playing with some of the guys that I idolized and some of the best cricketers in the world, and they were champions, I think, at that stage.
Let me ask you this, Sir Clive, because it's a topical thing even for today. The fact that when you would have played regional cricket, you played with the very best. How does that compare to what is happening now, where these players, can we say half-baked, is that fair, but they don't play against the best players from the region even?
In other words, there is the talent pool does not have particular standouts that we would want to be sharpening our own skills against.
Yeah, well,
is there a different mindset now, a different approach?
Yeah.
As a result of that?
Well, the point is with these younger players, it's a different time, I suppose, different thinking. These guys, being well paid, and I thought that they would have been able to put more effort into things. You see, we didn't have any coaches, we didn't have trainers, you had to do exactly either things by yourself, or if the captain organized some running or whatever it is. So we really didn't have anybody coaching us how to bowl, bat, or field. So it's instinctive, some of the things that we were doing. And you were enthusiastic because you were now playing with some of the greatest players that ever lived.
But the point, Sir Clive, is that at least you were tested, because you would have played against Sobers, you had Butlers and other people in your team, and other greats that you played against. Nowadays, the best players in the West Indies don't play regional cricket.
Well, right. That's what I was just about to tell you, that you see, when you played Shell Shield in those days, your all-round cricket was taken care of. Barbados, fast bowlers, David Holford, Gary Sobers, spin. Trinidad, with a swing and spin. Guyana, pace and spin. Jamaica, the same thing, pace and spin. And they were top class players and they were playing. So when you made 100, you're making 100 against some of the best bowlers in the world. So, when you knew that once you had done that you had arrived.
What was the gist of your letter? You were encouraging them to believe in themselves. What were you actually telling them to do?
Well, I was telling them that, listen, don't think that you're second class. You are now playing for the West Indies. Regardless of what people say, they're picking the best team. Even if 15 of them dropped out or 20, you were the best team. You're now playing for a region that has produced some of the greatest players ever from 5 million people or less. So go out there and don't be daunted by the task. It's not unsurmountable. It is a situation where they've all played cricket. They've made first class hundreds. They've got 5 wickets. They've played some of the against some of the best players around. And just go there and don't be. I didn't. The point is that I was playing against some of the best spinners in the world: Bedi, Chandrasekhar, Prasanna, Venkataragavan. These guys were giving the top class batters a hell of a time during that period. Yes. But I came out and I got 82 and 78 not out.
Yes. But the history is replete with good examples. We remember here in Jamaica that was it the 74 series thereabout, that Foster could make it to India, and he was replaced by Viv Richards. And we see what it means when you take your opportunity as it came, yes?
Yes, you have to. And on that tour in 1974, when Foster couldn't go, every member of that side performed well. Even the guys who didn't play in the test match. So that was the building of our team. And I am saying to these young fellas,
you were all hungry for something then. That it seems as if it is disappearing now. What is happening? Why we are not so hungry? Is it because
they're making
yes?
Yeah, they're making more money outside of playing Test cricket. When you go and when you're playing with Sir Garfield Sobers, Kanai, Butcher, Solomon, Hall, Griffith, Jackie Hendricks, Lance Gibbs, you are now in the elite. We have players now refusing to play for the West Indies. That was unthinkable. I don't care how much money the other players in the other countries. Do you see Smith and these guys and Warner not playing? Do you see Jayawardena and these fellas when they were playing, or Sangakkara not playing for their country? It was the ultimate. It doesn't matter how much money you're making playing for the West Indies. People would give their right leg, the right arm to play, to be named, just named in a West Indies team.
So Clive,
I think that...
Do you get the impression that the necessary reverence to your name is there in this current this generation, and that your words will be taken seriously and as a really motivational merit?
Well, I hope so, because I noticed that the guy who, the captain, Mohammed, said that their letter gave him that lift, and they want to live up to what I said.
Good.
Right.
So I'm hoping that this would give them that little lift, because they're playing on pitches that they're accustomed to. Hard, it will turn, but if it turns, so be it. You're now in the top flight. You've got to, as I said at the end of my letter, the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary.
You know,
So they want.
you know, I may be the person who is the proverbial scratched record. But I need to say this again and again. Isn't it now full time for Cricket West Indies to be engaging more of the legends in a serious mentorship program from territory to territory? Even if they're not called upon to be coaches, why can't we go there? Why can't we make a proper commitment to do this?
Well, look at the situation. Australia. You know who's helping them out? Steve Waugh. Right?
Justin Langer.
Langer. Pontin. England has just they've got the services of Jack Callis. You know, they have quite a few other of their ex-players helping them now. Graham Thorpe. They called in the guy from Yorkshire to help them with their bowling. India have got, you know, Shastri. They have Dravid and one or two others. New Zealand has got the same thing. Ex-players doing. We are the only people not using, and we've been, you know, for 17 years. No one beat us. 17 years.
You stand ready to be that roving ambassador again?
Well, the point is that, you know, I'm getting to an age where you don't want to be touring, but you want to be able to help.
Right.
I can only help by writing because of the situation that we have at the moment.
Right.
With the COVID-19 and so on.
Right.
But I agree with you. Some of our players need mentoring. Somebody that they can call and have a chat with. You know, Jason Holder should be able to call. And this is not the first time I've written a letter. You know. I wrote a.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes.
You wrote a letter?
You wrote a letter?
I wrote a letter before the England tour. And they won the first test, and I said, fine, we're going to move on from here. Then they made the biggest mistake ever. By batting first, batting second, when they should have now decide to lead from the front. We shouldn't have lost that too. And we both test matches were washed out. The last day was washed out. So had we batted first and put up a fairly good score, we would have still had we should have
at least won the series.
We still had the or won it.
Or won it, yes.
Or we still would have had the Wisden Trophy.
Tell me, what kind of psychological motivation your team would have had from 74 coming forward? We hear it being called for now as part of the makeup of the team that you must have that psychologist.
Well, don't forget that people must realize that 98% of my players had never played a test match. So Frank Worrell's team had Sobers, Worrell, Gibbs, Tanai, Hall. They all played 1957 in England and 58 against Pakistan. So they had some idea of what test match cricket was like. Our guys were learning. Good. And we played together. We learned to win. We got professional. We played county cricket. And we put all those things together. But playing for the West Indies, we wanted to make it something special. And we did, because we played for one another. We thought about how West Indians would feel at home and abroad if we were winners. And winning that World Cup gave us that impetus to continue. And we continued for 17 years. There's no other team in the history of cricket. We had 27 or 29 test matches without losing one.
All right. I must make reference to this as my final question, and we have to be wrapping up in a short while. I know Stratton has one more other question. But I take note of Cricket West Indies. A strategic plan, and I'm just tossing the themes as they have been tossed around. Cricket first. West Indies cricket first. Sir Clive Lloyd, the year 2021. When you look at all that's around you in the region, how do we really achieve this? If this is not just words being spouted, how do we achieve for West Indies cricket first? West Indies cricket first.
The point is we have to have a plan. There's no way you want to, to improve when you don't have a plan. We must all be singing from the same hymn sheet. We have to start with our young players, given the impetus. We have universities there. We have 4 or 5 universities in the West Indies. We have to teach guys about leadership, and what it takes to build. Ask any of them, do they know how to build anything? All these are things that our youngsters should know. We should not be learning on the job. It is a serious situation. This cricket now is now played out. You can now get a video and you can watch the Bangladesh team. You'll know exactly where their strengths and their weaknesses. We didn't have that. We played against them when we went on tour, and we had to work out where these guys were playing. We sat down and we worked it out. What field, what bowlers with it. We don't have an analyst like these guys have. We got a physiotherapist later. We have to put a little bit more effort into our cricket. We have to make our 4-day cricket important, and it's got to be a hard task. You make 100, that should be a setting to set you and train to make 100 at a higher level. Our fielding, our fitness have got to be 100% or more.
Okay.
Those are the things. We cannot be dropping 7 catches in one innings. No, you'll lose a test series. You have to take your catches. Fielding should be just as important as when you go to bat. You're practicing.
All right, Sir Clive.
So all those things.
Yes.
Yes. Good.
Once we get those together, we'll do well.
We'll do well. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks again, and we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us, and also to the people of the region and the world, because Real Chat goes worldwide. Thank you so much, Sir Clive Lloyd.
Good. Thank you,
Pleasure.
sir.
Anytime, Governor. All the best.
Good. Right. Back, and Billy says, Billy is pointing the finger, keep subscribing, and the Cash App, keep contributing, right? Listen to me now.
Yes, sir.
We have a dynamo on the line here. The world of local entertainment faces particular challenges this year. Clyde McKenzie, icon, music media maestro, is here to play the right keys. Welcome, Clyde, to Real Chat.
Thank you, my brother and my friend.
Welcome, campeones.
Hey, campeon. Thank you, my brother and friend.
Yes, man.
Talk to us, Clyde. What is facing us? What is ahead of us? What is troubling us in the field of local entertainment?
Well, the fact is that the pandemic has posed some serious challenges to the entertainment sector, as everyone would understand. And I think it's particularly stressful to local entertainment, because I think we tend to have a greater emphasis on live performances than people of other genres, Jamaican music. You know, historically, our thing was that we really depended on being present, being able to do the shows, because we don't make as much money selling records. The artists don't make that much money from the recorded units as people in other genres do. So it's particularly hard for us in the local industry, and particularly the artists, because they can't travel. I mean, they have been restricted in many ways. Some have sought to try virtual performances, but that's not very lucrative, to be very honest with you.
Why not so?
Well, there are still challenges in terms of monetizing
okay.
Right.
these kind of opportunities, and therefore people are still on the learning curve as to how that will be done. And so, what you find is that there are festivals. I mean, I know Sunfest, for example, and Sunsplash. They sought to do virtual presentations, and the Rebel Salute is also looking at that possibility. But the opportunities for performances, which is what the artists primarily depend on, has dwindled significantly. You know, they have gone down in a real way, and that has affected the industry in a very negative way. Now, some artists are using the opportunity to do recordings and reflection, and we'll see what the outcome of that will be. You know, because the thing is that people are waiting. They want to get back out and they want to enjoy themselves, but it's going to be a while before things begin to settle back down. You know, before we can begin to start thinking about these major festivals and all of that. The vaccinations and, you know, all the new measures that they might be finding to address the pandemic. Yeah, that might be helpful, but it's going to be a while before things return to normality.
You spoke earlier, Clyde, about the avenues for expression finding its way via the virtual clashes, etc. We had one or two significant ones. Has that aiding in promoting the music abroad to places either to that perhaps it would not have reached?
We've always had promotional challenges, and even in an age of streaming, some of the main platforms have not been exhibiting Jamaican products in the way that they should. Part of it, I mean, it's almost like a virtuous circle, because what happens is that they claim that we are not selling sufficient numbers, and we are not selling sufficient numbers because of the lack of promotion and publicity. So we are caught in that kind of catch-22 situation. So that's a very limited.
Yeah, but it begs the question, Clyde, because this certainly wasn't yesterday's story, right? We have, yes, and I'm the first one to say every product has its own dynamics, and as a product, our own artists have their own dynamics or one persona. Good?
Yeah.
Good. There are certain things that click for us and that differently click for other folks. But we can't, as we are now experiencing, have, and I'm not going to use the word slavish, but have a particular dependence on live performance. What is it year after year we're not doing right?
There are a lot of things, and some of them are structural and political, because access to the mainstream platform is one of the fundamental challenges that we have. We are not indigenous to the United States or any of these major markets or music, and therefore it is the music is not given any particular attention in terms of exposure. So part of our challenge is how can we create the kind of platform that will be dedicated to our kind of expression and which have mainstream reach. And that is not an easy thing to do, trust me. Even with the internet and the possibilities that have been heralded, many of those opportunities are more imagined than real. Because branding and big names, they still constitute a big part of acceptance and acceptability in the marketplace, even online.
Shatton, you wanted to say something because I want to get back to.
I was talking about the expansion of the marketplace. You said mainstream, and in my mind, it translates to mean North America, Europe. Isn't the world bigger than that? And how do we reach that?
And that now I'll address a serious issue, and an important one, because I think, for example, how we insert ourselves in the African dynamics, for example, because a lot of the people who are looking for content, I mean, you look even Netflix, Spotify, all of those people are focusing on Africa, right? That's the next pivot point. I think that what we can do, if we're considered too small, one of the things we can do is to ensure that we have a better relationship with a place like Africa, because, I mean, we have the identity issue settled. I mean, it is just a simple question of how do we insert ourselves in that kind of process.
And you're talking about growing economies too.
Yes, and
futuristic. Yes.
But integrating ourselves there, also, and then that will have a feedback effect on the operation, even in traditional mainstream markets, because you see the metrics that they use. I mean, we'll be able to satisfy some of those if we insert ourselves in that bigger African situation. Another place people have said we should try to insert ourselves is in Latin America.
Latin American thing of
because believe it or not, one of the things that is happening is that
the fusion is there, right?
The fusion is there. Reggaeton. I mean, there is reggae in Espanol, which is different from reggaeton. But reggaeton is one of the biggest genres in the world today, and it is a direct offshoot of Jamaican dancehall. I mean, they call it in Puerto Rico, they call it dembow. Now, Despacito, one of the biggest songs ever in the history of modern popular music, is a reggaeton song, and I mean, it has so many millions of views that it's just mind-boggling. So there is a way in which we could attach ourselves to Latin America and that locomotive, as well as to look at Africa too. So those are two growth nodes that I think we might have to contemplate and see.
You know, in how you have captured this, in terms of how we may expand by the synergies that we create, right? Comes around again to the point of our very production, you know, and what makes us outstanding and therefore appealing to the wider market. And and I want to say this. The question therefore has to be asked, is it too easy? Because there is this trend that is taking place where we're all just buying a rhythm, going into the studio and getting a rhythm, and everybody is coming with his own lyrical composition, but what you sometimes can hardly hear that is distinct is just the same rhythm all over again and again and again. What made Bob Marley and the Wailers, all of our outstanding artists, so appealing to the wider world was because instantly they felt that this is something I can relate to, you know. If Stevie Wonder wanted to do reggae, if Bob Dylan and all of those wanted to do reggae, it had to be that they felt that this song, this performance, right? This product had a world beat, even though it was a reggae beat. It was saying something to us, the rest of the world. Have we lost this? This is what I'm really asking you, Clyde. Have we lost this when the whole of we just go into the studio, go just go on with that thing over a rhythm?
Okay. The question of covering, people like Myrie and John Holt and Jimmy Cliff
Chronics
as
of late.
songwriters.
Chronics of late.
As songwriters, they were covered by a lot of people outside, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The production modalities have changed. And so you don't have much in terms of covering, but what you have is sampling, which is really a form of usage of music. So sometimes what people do is they use a master sample, which is they take out a particular piece of a recording and use it in a new one. And that is a source of income for some of our artists. I mean, you know, people like Sister Nancy has benefited significantly from Bam Bam because that has been used over and over and over. And you have a number of our other even
rerun things.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, Beenie Man and some of these other artists, people use their works, and you know, Richie Stevens was used in a Rihanna song. You know, so it happens, but it's not happening with sometimes the frequency with which we might want. And as I said, you're not getting people. I mean, you're not writing songs sometimes that people are covering. You might, as I say, you get samples, but not songs that people are covering.
We need to return to those days then, no?
It would be nice. I don't know. I mean, the modes of production are different. As I say, what you have also is that people use a lot of the rhythms, because one of the things about Jamaican music is that we tend to be trendsetters. I like to talk about people like King Tubby and Jammy and Striker Lee and the things that they have done in terms of the music, in that dub aesthetic, the versioning, and many of these production techniques that originated in Jamaica are now mainstream. You know, so you find a lot of people like Max Martin and Stargate and all these people, when they're producing, they produce the way King Tubby and these people produce. So there is no that shift in terms of how we have influenced things. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, touring now is the most lucrative area in terms of the music business. That's where not just Jamaican artists know, but other artists, and that's a trend that started in Jamaica. But I mean, it got it accelerated after the digital age. So when people started losing money from recorded products, then they started concentrating, like Jamaicans, on live shows. You understand? And live performances. But it's an interesting kind of thing that we tend to lead the pack in a lot of ways. You know, with our modes of production, with our ways of doing things.
But we don't necessarily sustain it.
Pardon me?
But we might not necessarily sustain it.
We don't sustain it. Because you see, one of the things is that even in terms of technological adoption, I mean, the way we use technology, just even multi-tracking, how we use multi-tracking to really create new music forms. I mean, dancehall and these other music forms, including now reggaeton and hip hop, they have come out of how we adopted technology and multi-tracking technology to really create music and the new methods that we employ. And that is really the thing about Jamaica, the sense of innovation that informs what we do. I mean, and these are guys who are sometimes, simple guys in a little studio, and they're just doing some phenomenal things.
All right, Sir Clyde. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much here. That has been so revealing. Yes. So we really need, so we need to sharpen then as a final word, all that we are, that makes us stand out, no?
Yeah, we need to highlight, we need to remind ourselves how good we are and try to maintain that standard.
All right, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Good.
Okay, Doctor, yes.
I apologize. I have to leave. Dr. Joseph, can you just deputize?
Hello? Yes. We final segment of Real Chat?
Yes, and it's called The Last Word.
Yes. Do we have Dr. Andrew Manning? No?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Manning.
Yes.
As we promised,
Yes.
the last word. President of the Medical Association of Jamaica, you're having the last word on this second edition of Real Chat for the year. The desired COVID-19 spread across the world has been raised in comments by the Prime Minister, right? He is arguing for a particular vaccine threshold from a more consummate spread across the world, a more consummate spread of the vaccine than the stockpiling,
hoarding,
as he has referred to as hoarding by big countries. Is hoarding a strong word here, or you're in complete agreement with him?
All right, Mr. Myrie, I'm at a disadvantage. I don't know if it's the internet link, but I missed some of what you're saying.
All right.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, yes, we are hearing you. Are you hearing us?
I gather from what you're saying, and you're asking.
All right, let us try and call you
straight.
Yes, let us try and let us try and call you straight, Dr. Manning.
Concerns about.
Yes, let us try and call you back straight. Hello? Hello? Yes, yes, yes. Yes. It has been quite a program, Stratton.
Yes, we have had a varied program, different individuals.
From the Prime Minister's comments and remarks, yes, to the whole...
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Manning, we have you back with us?
Yes.
Yes,
Wonderful.
can you hear me?
Yes, man, and we're hearing you quite well. All right.
Okay.
You have the proverbial last word of the program, that's final segment, right? We want to tell our listeners, our audience, you're the president of the Medical Association of Jamaica. And we want your comments, we invite your comments on the remarks by the Prime Minister on the desired COVID-19 vaccine threshold that he says, if attained from a more consummate spread of the vaccine across the world, if so attained, it will indeed defeat the virus much more than the application that we now have where big countries are stockpiling the vaccines, or as he says, hoarding the vaccine. Is hoarding a strong word?
I think it applies to this situation. The truth of the matter is that the richer countries are able to buy up all the vaccine that they wish because the poor countries can't afford it. And some of the countries seem to be, or based on reports, buying more than perhaps would be required to deal with this first phase of the vaccination program.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is the poor countries can't compete with them. But we have to look on the global situation. We won't be able to stop COVID-19 until we stop it everywhere.
Right.
At this point, Mr. Myrie, could I say Happy New Year to you and to your listeners? I didn't turn on.
Yes, and Stratton is also saying, my co-host Stratton Palmer is also saying, Happy New Year to you. Good?
Could I explain what COVAX is, though?
Yeah. Please, go right ahead. That's why you have the last word, you know. That's why you have the last word.
So COVAX is a initiative by WHO and some other allied entities who pooled funds and resources to allow for research, development, and subsequent distribution of vaccines. And the program was designed to try and ensure that everybody in COVAX would get at least 20% of their population immunized within the first year. And it was also designed to allow for middle and low-income countries like Jamaica to get some vaccines. What has happened, though, up to this point, it seems as if some of the more affluent countries have been doing deals outside of COVAX and buying vaccines on their own from the drug suppliers. And as a result, we may end up in a situation where we're not able to get everything that we wished from COVAX. So certainly there has to be a strong expression of the sentiment that these countries need to stop hoarding.
Let me ask you straight, Dr. Manning. You mean we might get less than even the 20% that was originally bargained for?
Well, all right. I said 20%, which is what is on WHO's COVAX website.
Right.
But we were actually, what the ministry has announced is that we were going to be targeting or getting 16% by the end of next year. Now, you have to put that in context, though. To develop herd immunity, you need 60 to 70% of your population being vaccinated. But remember, COVID-19 doesn't affect most persons who get it in a manner that would require hospitalization or which would result in mortality. Only about 10% of persons would come down with a severe form of the disease, and about 2% worldwide would die. And most of these persons who would die are those with comorbidities, increased age, some healthcare workers for various reasons. So if you theoretically target those persons first, right, even though you may not achieve herd immunity, you should stop the numbers of persons who would require hospitalization, and you should decrease the number of persons who die. So even though we're talking about only having 16% by the end of the year, vaccinating strategically 16% of the population who are high risk will go a far way towards lessening the impact of COVID.
Although the word is from the other doctors that we have interviewed earlier on, the vaccines won't necessarily stop the spread.
Symptoms.
They stop the symptoms, but not necessarily the spread.
Right. If you theoretically, right, can provide immunity for those who are at high risk, right, and the persons who get it would be those who would probably get mild symptoms or not have any symptoms, then even a low percentage of vaccination could impact positively on the pandemic. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to aim for herd immunity. But based on supply and demand of the vaccines, we're not going to get 70% of the population vaccinated via COVAX.
But you also take the burden off the bed space in hospitals.
Yes, and then build up. And remember, the capacity for producing vaccines should increase. All the vaccine manufacturers now are, pushing hard, they're scrambling and so on. But once you reach that point where they have the supply chain issues worked out, and seeing that COVID is going to be with us for years, I anticipate that moving forward, you're going to have vaccines becoming more readily available.
Especially, there is good news ahead. I gather, with the one from Johnson, because not just one single dose with just normal refrigeration.
Well, I'm not sure about that particular spec, so I can't speak to that. But yet, you do have, you would have heard about the Pfizer one and Moderna.
Right.
Messenger RNA viruses. Those require
2 doses.
2 doses and very slow storage, and you must have the capacity to maintain that cold storage supply chain. Some of the other vaccines can be towards safely in a regular fridge.
Right,
and in terms of the logistics to get it around to where it is needed, it's not as challenging.
Why is the original plan in terms of the distribution not being adhered to? And is there a regulating body or authority body who could see to it that this be done? What is the position of WHO in terms of...
You mean at COVAX level?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't speak to all of those issues. But one of the things about COVAX, apparently, it was a very complicated thing and a great endeavor. But I think that there's no... I have to be careful with my words. There's no penalty as far as I can see.
Absolutely none at all.
To pull out or not meet the obligations under COVAX. It really is based on what I can see, based on good wishes and a need to have the whole world vaccinated. But if for various reasons one of the entities decides that they want to go their separate route and get their own vaccines, I don't think there's anything to stop that. And the people are certainly going to be aiming to protect their own population. Everybody wants to get herd immunity in their country.
What's your specific concern and worry for small island states like ourselves?
Not being able to get the vaccine in a timely fashion. So that's why it is prudent to explore all avenues. No, don't get me wrong. I'm still expecting us to get what we're to get by COVAX.
16%.
But you have to have a plan B and a plan C.
That would have been my next question.
Wherever you can get a safe vaccine, which has been subject to the necessary scrutiny and rigor,
including Cuba,
and which we can deliver in a safe and equitable manner, then we need to explore all options. And yes, Cuba has a couple of vaccines that have been developed. I cannot speak to all the details of that, right? Because there, you have like over 100 vaccines that are being developed.
Right. There are clear lessons to be learned here, though, Dr. Manning. The scientific collaboration required. You can't have a neighbor 90 miles away, and he's making such a world impact with biotechnology. And it's not that we are of lesser minds.
Yes.
So how do we...
Right. You mentioned a term there. You mentioned can't, when the question should be, should you? But with respect to the wherever we're getting the vaccine, whether it's Cuba, India, China, America, England, or wherever, it has to be shown to be safe.
Right.
It should have gone through the necessary trials.
Right.
And you hear people talking about phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 trials, and you look at the safety profile, and you look and see how effective it is. So that is what is going to boil down to, whether it's coming from Cuba or from somewhere else.
But Dr. Can't maybe appropriate, in terms of what Curtis said, because of the Americans sanctioning anybody who deals with Cuba in terms of getting vaccine from that nation.
Well, that one is
that will be
above
sanctioned.
my head.
That
one is above my head.
I know you were going to say that.
One can only hope that all necessary diplomatic
channels,
efforts and channels will be made and explored, and one can only hope that after January 20th, perhaps the whole global landscape may change. That's all I can hope for.
So much for being careful.
I can't speak to anything else other than that.
We must ask you. The new norm, new public health policies, clearly, that will guide us and make us more efficient, and effective in dealing with this whole public health issue. Because I remember, I'm not taking tales out of school, but I remember talking to a leading professional who has been on the program, and he said to me, Curtis, you can go and talk. You just wait until it looks like we're going around the corner. We're treating public health again the same way like how we used to do it before. Doesn't that worry you?
It does. And there is some, I don't want to say accuracy, but it's a valid statement. One of the things that COVID-19 has done, it has shone a spotlight on healthcare in Jamaica and in the world in a way that nothing else has done before. You would hear terms like public health and epidemiology, and you wouldn't think twice about it. They would be abstract terms. Now everybody, certainly in the medical community, has to have a greater understanding of these concepts because survival.
You know what is abstract, and you know what is lip service, and I am just waiting because I am going to be making a whole heap of noise about this. And that is why I'm happy that this program has been created to not just deal with issues of sports, but all topical issues that make us want to speak our minds. Just as how you have been saying epidemiology and so on and so forth. You know what we're giving lip service to? Universal health care, that we claim is a 2030 pursuit, where we're supposed to have public and private sector partnership, real synergies for a better health delivery to the ordinary man. Dr. Manning, where we're going with this thing? Is more town same way? Is that the new norm? Or will universal health care take into serious account this partnership, take into serious account the whole issue of public health and the new paradigm that has to be in place for us all to be healthier and safer around the world?
So the concept of universal health care and the desire to implement some kind of system of universal health care and public-private partnership has been on the cards for a long time, before my time in the health sector. I used to be Junior Doctor Association president some 20 years ago, and it was on the table then. As MAJ president, I know it is on the table. It has been considered by various governments, and it's not a political issue. Both sides are inclined to do so. But one of the things about COVID is that a lot of things were sidetracked. A lot of things that you wanted to do had to be pushed to the side to deal with COVID. In terms of the new normal now, you're coming from a point in Jamaica where you have a lot of, say, packed waiting areas, whether it's in the clinic or packed buses and things like that. One would hope that in the new normal, you wouldn't have that kind of situation. We should move to a point where you can have persons moving around, say, in public transportation or in a classroom or wherever, and not being packed up together.
Not
because
being herded.
Even with a vaccine, COVID-19 is going to be with us for a while, and we could very well have a situation where with mutation that you have a different strain and you have to get a different vaccine and so on. So I have to consider some of these things. As the person you had spoken to earlier is alluding to do, it seems that though initially in this thing, people were very cognizant of the need to social distance and wear masks and hand sanitizer and so on. And after a while, you get COVID fatigue, in quotations, and people slip back into the same bad habits. So now you're seeing packed buses again and so on.
All right, Doc. Thanks for sharing with us.
You have to come back again, because this
just
thing. Yes, we have to, because universal healthcare needs folks like you to be talking to the man in the street over and over and over again. They can't afford this thing. As I said, 20 years ago, I said of the Junior Doctors Association, it's here now. Are we serious about this thing?
The issue with universal health care, is who is going to pay for it.
Yes. Yes.
We're going to pay via taxes. Are we going to increase taxes to do it? Are we going to have persons pay something at the point of delivery? Is it that we're going to have an insurance thing? Is it that persons who can't pay are going to pay for those who can't pay? So it's something that society has to decide on. Not just the healthcare team, because the biggest thing about it is
cost.
How is it going to be funded? And remember, healthcare is expensive. But make no mistake about that. Even though we have no user fee at the point of entry here now in Jamaica, the taxpayers are paying for it.
Somebody's paying for it.
Yes,
of course.
There's no free lunch.
These things would have to be considered.
All right, Dr. Manning, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Good.
That was the last word.
That is indeed
Curtis
the last
had
word.
Dr. Manning give the last word, and I had Curtis giving the last word.
Remember, Billy said, and pointing the finger again, keep subscribing and keep contributing to the Cash App for us to continue to be producing and presenting Real Chat.
3 hours on a stretch, no mean ordeal. Right? But
see you next Thursday, right? We enjoy it, we enjoy you, and we want to keep doing that. Thank you.